George Parks was the territorial governor of Alaska from 1925 to 1933, appointed by President Calvin Coolidge and reappointed by Herbert Hoover. He first came to the state in 1907 after graduation from the Colorado School of Mines. Except for service in the Army during World War I, he's always made Alaska and Juneau his home. On Sunday, Parks celebrated his 100th birthday. The Evening Edition crew was there to record this memorial event.
For the last 8 years, since he became too infirm to live on his own, Governor John Parks has been a resident of the Bartlett Memorial Hospital. This weekend was a special time for John Parks. It marked his 100th birthday. Numerous people visited to wish him well. On Friday, representatives of the local Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts presented Parks with a framed aerial photo of the Eagle River Scout Camp in recognition of all his support. Late Sunday morning, a birthday party was held in the hospital cafeteria. Among the special honors Parks received was membership in the Fairbanks Igloo of the Pioneers of Alaska, a plaque from the Colorado Christian Home Children's Treatment Center, which Parks has long supported, a plaque from the Colorado School of Mines, where Parks received his education, a proclamation from the city of Juneau, and a proclamation from the governor of Alaska.
By the time he retired, Governor Parks had given 66 years of service to the state of Alaska. He managed public lands, surveyed the state's largest city, and initiated a contest among school children that produced one of the most beautiful state flag songs in the United States. Governor Parks has lived in Alaska since 1907, and he continues to make Juneau his home. His unfailing loyalty to our state has proven to be a source of pride for many Alaskans who recognize the true pioneer spirit of this man.
Afterwards, Park cut his cake and then was taken back upstairs, lest all the activity exhaust him. The guests at the party included numerous people whose relationship with Parks goes back decades. John Hermley, for instance, came to Juneau in February 1926, when Parks was governor.
And later we became very good friends, and we played pinochle together at the Elks Club every week. And the last time that he had dinner at a private home was at my home. He told me that night. He put and fell down the steps when he left there. He said, "This is the last time I eat out." And now that's a number of years ago yet, too.
After his second gubernatorial term ended in 1933, Parks was the federal government's district engineer. After retirement in 1948, he joined the R.J. Summers Construction Company.
Oh, they were very prominent in work. They built the first building at the Alaska University up there. I think they called it college. And then they also built the first bridge over the Chena. That's been replaced, I guess, 2 or 3 times since then. And he's built airports and very high-frequency stations and roads.
The company now is inactive. Dora Sweeney handles the business affairs on a part-time basis from her home in Port Angeles, Washington. She always comes up for Parks' birthday. We asked Parks' niece, Betty Valentine, how this birthday compares to past years.
Well, this one was much more elaborate, and they've never had it done in the cafeteria. It's been upstairs in the foyer before, so that it's been just close friends. He always enjoys them. He looks forward to another birthday, and he has looked forward especially to this one. And he was very surprised with all the accolades that were afforded him today.
All these awards and everything, you saw that they meant a lot to him. He was very emotional. Of course, he's very tired. But he was real happy to see people. He not only clasped the hand of a lady friend or a woman that he knew, but even men that came along, he'd clasp both their hands in his because he was so happy to see them.
What's being planned for the 101st birthday?
Oh, I think that we'll just have to do something to top this one. I look forward to it. He says that maybe he'll make it, that always another one, but he does say that too many birthdays, but he's told me that for the last 20 years. So I don't bank on that, but we'll see. He's has a strong will.
Happy birthday to former Territorial Governor George Parks, 100 years young on Sunday.
Alaska, though a possession, was not yet even a territory of the United States when Parks arrived in 1907. The Klondike Gold Rush took place less than a decade earlier. Gold was being mined from the beaches of Nome, and a new gold strike at Fairbanks renewed dreams of a railroad from the ocean to the interior. Anchorage did not yet exist. In fact, it was years later when Parks and other engineers surveyed the site, which was to become Anchorage. He served in the Army in World War I, returned to Alaska, and a few years later was appointed by President Calvin Coolidge to become governor of Alaska. He served 2 full terms from 1925 through 1933. This weekend, Parks was honored for his service to Alaska as friends gathered at Bartlett Memorial Hospital to celebrate his 100th birthday.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear George. Happy birthday to you.
Former Alaska Territorial Governor George Parks, 100 years old. For Channel 13 and the Alaska Network from our Southeast Bureau in Juneau, I'm Bob Scott.
On May 29, 1983, George Alexander Parks, longtime Alaskan and former governor, will be 100 years old. It is Governor Sheffield's desire to wish Governor Parks a happy birthday and share a little bit of history about one of Alaska's most remembered governors. Born in Denver, Colorado in 1883, Parks was graduated from the Colorado School of Mines in 1906. After graduation, Parks was employed by private mining companies in Alaska to do mineral examination work. In 1908, he was appointed Mineral Examiner for the United States Land Office in Denver. After 2 months, though, he returned to Alaska to work for the Land Office in the coal fields. He worked his way up to Assistant Superintendent of Surveys and Public Lands for Alaska until he resigned in 1918 to serve in the Army Corps of Engineers during World War I. At the end of the war, in 1919, he again returned to Alaska to serve the Interior Department and advanced to the position of Chief of the Field Division of Alaska, taking charge of all public lands in the territory. It was during this time that Parks was responsible for the survey of the town site that is now Anchorage, and in 1925, President Calvin Coolidge appointed him governor of the territory. During Parks's career, he was responsible for many firsts in Alaska. He was the first to use a camera extensively in his travels, the first to use an airplane for inspections around the state. He was also the first citizen from Alaska ever nominated to be its governor. Because of his extensive travels as a mineral examiner during Alaska's booming mining days, Parks brought to the governor's office more knowledge of Alaska's lands than any other governor. A July 1920 issue of The Pathfinder reprinted a Juneau Empire article on Parks' first appointment as governor. It read, "No man ever became governor of this territory with as much first-hand information concerning it as Governor Parks possesses, and none ever had a better or more comprehensive knowledge of her people. His education as an engineer, his frontier experience, and his work in the Alaskan public service, added to his fine ability, robust energy, singleness of purpose, and the spirit to service that is his, especially qualify him for the office he enters upon today. He knows all about all the political currents in Alaska and is absolutely free of obligations to any who navigate them. He is bound to reward or punish no one. His hands are free. He has no illusions. He knows the good things about the territory and her people, and he thoroughly understands the difficulties, the lean places, the hard knot, and the obstinate problems." During his second term as governor, from 1929 to 1933, Parks made many contributions to the people of Alaska. In 1929, after his reappointment by President Hoover, Parks donated all of his official papers and early survey documents to the University of Alaska. To this day, these documents provide a solid base for those interested in Alaska's early history. In 1930, Governor Parks laid the cornerstone of the U.S. Federal and Territorial Building, which is now known as the Capitol Building in Juneau. Parks was instrumental throughout his administration for boosting Alaska's fledgling aviation industry by seeing that funds were appropriated to upgrade and build airstrips throughout the state. In 1933, at the end of his second term, Parks was appointed cadastral engineer for Alaska, and he served in that capacity until his retirement in 1948. Governor Parks continues to make Alaska his home. Because of his significant contributions to the state and her people, Governor Sheffield has issued a special proclamation.
From 1925 to 1933, George Alexander Parks was the appointed governor of the territory of Alaska. When he came to the job, he was already a man well versed in the problems of the land. Parks had spent years traveling by any means possible, from dog sled to that newfangled machine of the time, the aeroplane, in order to do his job as mineral examiner during the territory's booming mining days. And he knew his state well. By the time he retired, Governor Parks had given 66 years of service to Alaska. He managed her public lands, surveyed her largest city, and initiated a contest among school children that produced the most beautiful state flag in the United States. Governor Parks has lived in Alaska since 1907, and he continues to make Juneau his home. His unfailing loyalty to our state will prove to be a source of pride for many Alaskans who recognize the true pioneer spirit of this man. Therefore, I, Bill Sheffield, Governor of the state of Alaska, do hereby proclaim May 29, 1983 as Governor George Parks Day, and urge all Alaskans to join with me in wishing the former governor a happy 100th birthday and give him a word of thanks for all his contributions to our state. Thank you so much.